Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. First of all, I want to offer my humble respects to all of my teachers. And today we want to start something a little bit new. We're going to try to learn a little bit of Sanskrit, and we're going to assume that everybody can read the Devanagari script, which is the usual script that Sanskrit is written in, although Sanskrit can be written in any script. And Sanskrit language is also not dependent on script. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple of different books. The first book is Sanskrit Made Easy series, Infant Reader, by R.S. Vadya in Palghat in Kerala, which is a very simple set of stories that progress one by one from very, very simple to more complicated stories. And it gives us a sense of achievement when we read them, that we can actually read Sanskrit because it's simple Sanskrit. And then the other book that we're going to look at is, a book by a scholar called Agenes. And there are many, many different books for learning Sanskrit and different approaches, but some of them are very terse and very cryptic, and they tend to discourage people from learning. But this one is a very easy system, and just takes it very, very slowly, step by step. And we're going to learn some very basic Sanskrit. This can help us if we're attempting to read simple Sanskrit, if we're just attempting to understand in general what something in Sanskrit means, if we are using Sanskrit or simple Sanskrit in a ritual, like Sanyavandhanam or even puja, all these sort of things can help us. And of course, ultimately, the world has moved on, and probably we'll never get to the point of using Sanskrit as a full-time language or deeply going into very, very technical and very terse and complex Sanskrit commentaries. But those things can be translated by proper scholars. But at least we should know a little bit. We should know enough. We should know enough to be able to see certain aspects of words and things, and to understand when our teachers tell us something, and to confirm what they're telling us is correct. So it's just like anything. If you know a little bit about something, then you appreciate it a lot more. So hopefully people will come away with this, if not with understanding Sanskrit completely, they'll have some more appreciation for the language, which most of the scriptures in India are written in, which is not really a dead language, because people do speak it and people do use it in everyday life in India. There are whole villages in South India that only speak Sanskrit. So, and people who list on the census of India Sanskrit as their mother tongue, not as their first language. So Sanskrit is not a dead language like that, like Latin is, or Greek, ancient Greek. So, okay, so let's have a look at this this book by R.S. Vadya, right, in Palghat, which is an area of South India, which on the border of Tamil Nadu and Kerala, which has a lot of Sanskrit scholars in that village, and a lot of traditional Brahmins. This is I've downloaded this, and I will get everybody a link on archive.org to download the PDF of this book. So it says here, Infant Reader, Sanskrita Baladarsha. So Samskrita is actually the Sanskrit way of saying Sanskrit. So in Sanskrit, we say Samskrita. Samskrita means, and now it's not written here with diacritics, and it's not written here in Devanagari. It's just written here in some sort of, Roman letters. Samskrita Baladarsha. Baladarsha means, darsha means to see or to understand. And then Bala means children. So children's, it's a children's level, basically. Samskrita Baladarsha, children's level. Infant reader. So this is a reader that you might give to a little kid, a very small kid. So here we have the beginning of it. It's got here Vidyaya Vindate Amritam, which we're not going to attempt to translate right now. A picture of Saraswati underneath that. Sanskrit Made Easy series, the Reformed series of 4 illustrated Sanskrit readers with grammatical and conversational exercises, glossary, etc. for a pleasant and quick study of Sanskrit. Okay, so we'll hope this is pleasant. Most widely used throughout India, foreign countries like Ceylon, Siam. Siam is actually Thailand. Bangkok is a part of Siam. Is Germany, Italy, Australia, California, San Francisco. I don't know why they listed these places. Anyway, the table of contents here we have. We're going to see all these different things. So let's just have a look at this. The contents. What we have to do is when we read this book, we have to start looking at the Sanskrit because they're going to teach us Sanskrit in Sanskrit. They're not going to use, they're going to try to use as little English as possible. So here we have this anukramanika. So anukramanika, if everybody can see this, right? And I'm assuming that, everybody can read Devanagari enough that they can read anukramanika. If you can't read Devanagari, by the way, probably you need to look at another video that I've done on my YouTube channel about how to learn to read Devanagari script, because this is going to use Devanagari. You don't need to actually learn Devanagari script. It's possible to learn Sanskrit without learning Devanagari script, but it's better if you do learn Devanagari script. So now when we look at the other book, again, he's going to begin by teaching Devanagari script, but at the same time, he's also going to introduce Sanskrit grammar and Sanskrit words. Okay, so anyway, Anukramani means contents or table of contents. Over on the right-hand side, we have the numbers. This is a TOC or a table of contents. Prishtam means that is the page numbers, and the page numbers are all given in Sanskrit too, except for in the preface here, which are in Roman numerals, which is very common in books. So then we have here Bharata Deshiya Geetam. Bharata Deshiya Geetam means the song of India, of Bharata Desha. Desha means place. Bharata means India. Okay. So then it's got the ditto. Do means here ditto, which means, so this is Bharata Desha, the second, so that's page 3 in Roman numerals. Page 4 in Roman numerals is the English translation of that song of India or something, whatever it is. Okay, and that'll be in Sanskrit. Okay, so then we have the alphabet, right? From pages 1 to 11. We're going to go through this very quickly and we're going to go to the first lesson. So all of this stuff that we're talking about here first, we're just going to brush through because you've all understood, you all can read Devanagari. So Akshara Mala. Akshara means indestructible, so it means a syllable or a particular letter. You can think of it as the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet are called aksharas. So mala is a garland. So when we look at the Sanskrit alphabet, we think of it as a garland. It's a collection of letters, right? Okay, so it's called, the alphabet in Sanskrit is called an akshara mala. So if I say can you chant the akshara mala to somebody? I want them to chant the alphabet, right? So alphabet. So now we have vowels. Vowels are being explained because the different parts of the alphabet, there's vowels and consonants. We're going to introduce also some terminology, which you might not have heard since you were in school, some grammatical terminology. So what is a noun? What is a verb? What is a vowel? What is a consonant? What is a tense? What is a conjugation? What is a declension? This will all be explained. So then we have swaraha, atava, achaha, right? So swaraha means vowels in Sanskrit, right? And it's in plural, it means vowels. Swaraha. Atava basically means or, right? The word va means or, or otherwise known as, right? Achaha. Achaha is the Paninian shortcut way of saying vowels. Okay, so Panini has a whole code. Panini is the greatest Sanskrit grammarian. He codified the whole language into about 4,000 rules. If you just learn those 4,000 rules, you know the grammar of Sanskrit. However, you don't know any vocabulary. So it's a very difficult way of learning Sanskrit, but many people learn it that way also. If people are interested in maybe understanding Panini's method, we can go into that. But instead of learning Panini's method to learn how to learn Sanskrit, why not just learn Sanskrit directly? And that's what we're going to do. So now it says here, Vyanjanehi saha acham yoge acham chinani. I say that what that means is that on the very first page is going to show us vowels, And what it's going to show here is vyanjanahi, which means the consonants, saha, with the consonants, achaha, right? Achaha again means vowels. Vowels connected with consonants, yoge, right? Connected, right? Achaha chinani. What are the signs of the consonants when they're connected to the vowels? So that's the next thing that you learn. And I think anybody who's learned Devanagari understands that first you learn the symbols for the individual letters, then you learn how to combine the letters together. And the first thing you learn is how to add the vowels to consonants. Okay, so then the next thing on page 2, it has vyanjanani atava halaha. So just as it was explained what vowels are, it's going to explain what consonants are. And a shortcut Paninian word for consonants is halaha, right? Okay. So then we have swara vyanjana yoga ritaha. So yoga again means joining, when we join consonants and vowels. So first of all, how do we join vowels? And then how do we join consonants together in Devanagari script, and what does it look like? So that's on page 2. Page 3 gives us swara yukta, right? Along with vowels, vyanjanani. That we have. Then what do consonants look like when they have vowels with them? Consonants with vowels. It says here, right, on page 6. Then we have page 10. It is samyukta aksharani. Samyukta aksharani means it's actually talking about samyukta vyanjanani. Vyanjanas are consonants. So samyukta means put together. When two consonants come together, we know that they change their form in Devanagari script sometimes, right? So Devanagari is not the most scientific script. In fact, it's actually, I believe personally, and I've read books even by Sanskrit scholars that say Devanagari script is not the best script to learn Sanskrit in. Actually, probably one of the best scripts would be the Roman script with diacritics and things like that. So it's very simple. You just go left to right, one character after another. Whereas in Devanagari, you know the signs in the Devanagari for the characters go up and down, to the left, to the right. You know, it's a little confusing for beginners. Anyway, so this is samyukta aksharani, showing conjunct consonants. That's on page 10. Then we start the actual lessons, which we're going to do immediately now after we just flip through those other pages, which are teaching us how basically Devanagari, because we already know that. So pratama means first. So we've got the section B, the lessons, which are little stories with vocabulary and grammatical points, and very easy. So the first one is pratama. Pratama means the first, right? So we have letter 1, number 1, the first. Then pataha means a lesson, and then it has a little bit about what the story is about. It says ajaha and gajaha. So ajaha means a goat, and gajaha means an elephant. So we're going to go to a small story about a goat and an elephant. That's on page 12. Okay, and then we don't need to go into the rest of them, the rest of the lessons, because that's today. Today's lesson will be about the goat and the elephant. That's the first story. Okay, so now we go on, see all the lessons we have here, and this is only the first book. And there are other books in the series, and it goes, every lesson gets a little bit more difficult, but they're all very, very easy. Okay, so then at the end, there are some tables to be studied by heart, some model questions and translations, exercises. And also, if for those persons who are really fired up, there are some verses from a book called Amarakosha, Amarakoshasya, right? Paryaya slokaha. So paryaya, I'm not sure about exactly, but slokaha means verses from Amarakosha. Amarakosha, the word kosha means dictionary, and Amara was a person who wrote this particular dictionary. And what he did was he took synonyms, which means words that mean the same thing as other words, right? So, for instance, if I say car and I say automobile, they mean the same thing in English. So he took he took he took 10 names for the sun, 20 names for Vishnu, and he put them all in a verse. And so you just chant the verse and you know all the different synonyms for the different words. So some people, after they learn Sanskrit grammar, they memorize this dictionary, which is a rhyming dictionary, and then they know a lot of vocabulary already. So here on the next page it says Sri Ram Jayam, means victory to Lord Ram, victory to Sri Ram, right? Which is the way they like to start it. And then again, this we won't go into everything. Vidyaya Vindate Amritam, something to do with nectar, and knowledge. From knowledge comes nectar. Okay, Sanskrita Baladarsha, the introduction to Sanskrit, or the infant reader, let's say. Okay, then we have the Aksharamala of the alphabet. So here we have Swaraha, which means vowels. It's also in Panini terms Achaha. So here are the vowels: A, I, I, U, Ri, Ri. They didn't put a long Ri for some reason, which is many times in Panini grammar they don't talk about a long version of Ri. Then they have A, I, O, Ow, and they also include the Anushwara and the Visarga, Aha, right? So then it gives us how the vowels look like when they're not initial. We know that when they're in their initial form, they look like this. When they're not in the initial part in the first part of a word, when they come inside a word, they have other symbols that they in Devanagari. So now we have the consonants. Vyanjanani, also called halaha. This is the consonants again. Yara, lava, sha, saha, and then we have a few useful conjuncts here. This is actually a letter that you usually only get in the Vedas. It's a type of L, la. And then you have two consonants which are very, very common, the sha, like in Kshatriya, and then nya, pronounced like GY, nya, as in jnana, or knowledge. Okay, so then we have how to add those two things together, how to put consonants and vowels together. We know how to do that. So that's just a little table to do that. Note that the addition of a short a, right, to a consonant is known by the removal of the stroke under it. Okay, so we all know that there's this stroke here which is called a virama, or sometimes by Panini it's called a halanta, right? What do we say that what do we say consonants are? Consonants are called by Panini hal. So anta means the end, ending with a consonant. So if a word ends with a consonant, that stroke is called a halanta. Halanta. So if we know what hal is and we know what anta is, we know what that halanta means, right? So that's what we use. Some people call it virama also, but it's, grammarians call it halanta. Okay, so now we have also some random letters, with where they've added different vowels to consonants. So keep going. You can go over this. I will send everybody this. You can all look at this if you're unfamiliar with Devanagari script, and you can learn more about it. Okay, so now there's some special ones. What the different. There's maybe some alternate forms, that come about in Devanagari sometimes. So we should be familiar also with the alternate forms in Devanagari. Okay, so this is all consonants and vowels. And now we get to conjunct consonants of two letters. When you have two conjuncts, some yukta aksharani, when we have two vyanjanas or two halahas coming together without an intervening vowel, then these are some of the most common forms of them, right? We won't go into that. And then we have conjunct consonants with three letters coming together without an intervening vowel. And then we have the Sanskrit figures, the Sanskrit signs for numbers. And then we go to the first lesson. So here we are at the first lesson. Okay, so it says, Pratama Pataha, number one, first lesson. So the first thing we're going to do before we get to the actual story, we're going to let's look at the glossary, right? So the glossary, here is the glossary. So let's just go through that. Ayam, and it has an M after it. M means masculine. Iyam, F means feminine. So idam, N means neuter. So there are three genders in Sanskrit. Sanskrit nouns will have three genders, right? Masculine, feminine, and neuter. The gender of a particular word has absolutely nothing to do with the gender of the thing. So, for instance, you have three words for a wife in Sanskrit. There's a masculine word for a wife, there's a feminine word for a wife, and there's a neuter word for a wife. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's not got anything to do with gay marriage or anything like that. The wife is the wife is the wife is a lady, but or a woman, but the word itself can be masculine, feminine, and neuter, and we have to know the gender of a word in order to be able to decline the word. What I mean by declension is adding endings. Sanskrit is a very inflected language, which means that you add different endings to it. Whereas in English we use, or also in Hindi, we tend to use other little words. So for instance, if I want to say on the land, in the land, at the land, or on the house, in the house, at the house, behind the house, in front of the house, and I use different words. But in Sanskrit, I can do that by just putting a little ending on the end of the word house. Okay, so here we have to know whether something is masculine, feminine, neuter. We also have to know whether things are singular or plural. And there's another thing in Sanskrit called dual. So if there's one thing, it's singular. If there's many things, more than two, it's plural. If there's only two things, many things in nature come in pairs. So there's a special case, there's a special number called dual. So we have to know the gender and we have to know the number in terms of nouns. Okay, so now we have ayam, iyam, and idam. And all those words mean this. All those words mean this. Ayam means this masculine. Iyam means this feminine. And idam means this neuter. So then we have kaha. We have kaha, ka, and kim, right? Which mean what? So kaha, ka, masculine, feminine, neuter, what? Right? So then we have ajaha, masculine, for goat. Gajaha, the first type of nouns we're going to learn is we're going to learn a ending masculine nouns, long a ending, short a ending masculine nouns, long a ending feminine nouns, right? Immediately you've now learned something. You've learned that if you see a word which has a long a at the end, it may be feminine. It also may be a different ending, but it may be feminine. But in its root form, right, a noun with a long a is feminine, right? Normally, right? So short, if it has a short a, it tends to be masculine. If it has an m at the end, it tends to be neuter. So we're going to learn a ending masculine. We're going to again am ending neuter and long a ending feminine words. Okay, so we have ajaha, gajaha, a goat, an elephant, masculine words. Bala and mala means a girl and a garland, feminine. Patram, not to be confused with patram. Patram, a tulsi patram. A tulsi patram is a leaf. Patram is a leaf. A patram, long a, is a pot, right? Then we have patram netram, right? We also have ashvaha, right? Those are neuter words. Then we have again masculine words, ashvaha and naraha. Naraha and ashvaha. Ashvaha means a horse. Naraha means a man, masculine. Jihwa, Jihva, right? Long a is feminine, tongue. Nasa is also feminine, means nose. Vishvam means universe. It's neuter. Okay. So now the abbreviations used in this glossary are going to be explained because it's the first time we've seen that. These is the vocabulary for the lesson. Abbreviations used in the glossary. So a capital N like this used in the book means it's a noun. And a noun in Sanskrit is called vishesham. An adjective has a small a means an adjective. Visheshanam. So there's vishesham, a noun. Visheshanam is an adjective, right? So what is a noun? A noun is a naming word. It names something, right? A book, a person. A proper noun is a name of something, someone like Arjuna, Krishna, like that. Okay, but a noun by itself just names something. So a book or a house, right? Now it can be used in all three genders. An adjective is something that describes a noun. So if you have a book, you can have a big book, a little book. Big and little are adjectives. Okay, so then we have masculine. Masculine. Now the adjectives can be in different genders. So an adjective, it's defined like a noun. It has endings on it like a noun, but the adjective will take its gender from the noun. So the noun that it describes. So if the book is if the book pustakam is a neuter word, so the adjective, if I want to say big book, it'll be the adjective will be in the same declension, it will be declined the same. It'll have the same neuter ending as the book, right? Okay. So now we have masculine, feminine, and neuter. How do we describe the genders? So a gender is called a linga. Linga just means a form, right? So you have a male form, female form, neuter form. So pumlinga means masculine. Strilinga means feminine. Pum means man. Stri means woman. So pumlinga means masculine form. Strilinga means feminine form. And napumsakalinga means neuter form. Napumsaka literally means not male. If you say not male, it means neuter. It doesn't mean female. So pumlinga, strilinga, napumsakalinga. So they're MF and N represent that. Now we have these other words which are difficult to explain right now, but they have to do with verbs. And they are parasmaipadi, atmanepadi, and ubaipadi. So verbs can be used when we're doing something for ourselves, we use parasmaipadi endings. When we're doing, for others, when we're doing something for others, we use parasmaipadi endings. When we do something for ourselves, we use atmanepadi endings. There are some verbs that can use both endings. They're called ubaipadi. So we'll explain more about that in a minute. That's a little bit confusing right now. Okay, so then we have in means indeclinable. That is called in Sanskrit an avyaya. So if you hear Tirunarayan, if we're at some class or something like that, and he says, this is an avyaya, it means that it doesn't change. The word doesn't change. We don't put any endings on it. It's always the same. And these are very easy words in Sanskrit. Okay, so then we have other things. PRP and PP mean present participle and past participle. I'll explain what those are when they come up, which won't be in this lesson. So now let's go to the lesson. Okay, so here's the lesson. This is the story. So we see a picture here of a goat, right? And next to the picture of the goat is the word ajaha. Ajaha. So ajaha is a masculine A ending noun, which means goat. So then we have a picture of an elephant, and next to it says gajaha. Gajaha means an elephant. Then we see underneath, we see the story. Ayam ajaha. What did we understand from the glossary? The word ayam is masculine. The ajaha is masculine. Gajaha is masculine. So the word ayam is the masculine form. Let's have a look. It's the masculine form of this, right? So now we have a sentence. This is a Sanskrit sentence. So if we say ayam ajaha and we put a dunda at the end, that's it. A dunda is like a comma or a full stop, a period, which can end a sentence or a half verse in poetry, right? So if we say ayam ajaha, it means this is a goat. The verb to be or is understood in this. We don't have to write the verb to be. It's understood. It's inherent, right? So to translate ayam ajaha, I simply say this is a goat. So ayam ajaha, this is a goat. Obvious from the picture. This is a goat. So what is ayam? What do we think ayam? Now here we see ayam gajaha, and the reason why here we see ayam written with an M, a makara, with a halanta after it, is that they've separated the words. If they put the words together, right, this initial A would come out and you wouldn't see it, right? But here in the other one, you have, instead of the first word being followed by a vowel, the second word begins with a vowel, and here the second word begins with a consonant. So what do we notice? We notice something, that this has now become an anushwara. This M here of ayam now became an anushwara. It's the same word. This is ayam and this is ayam, but it's written here when it's separated from the word, and the next word begins with a vowel. It's written with a halanta on the M, and here it's written with a anushwara. So that's the first Sunday rule that you need to learn. Is a very simple one. Is that if you have a word ending with an M, right, the letter im or M, the letter M, and no vowel after it, right, and then the next word begins with a vowel, then you can put those two words together, right? But if you want to separate them, you have to put the halanta to show that the M ends the word. Here we show that the M has turned into a pure nasal, which is called an anushwara, and it's simply a dot on top, right? Okay. So I am ajaha, I am gajaha. Here's the gajaha, here's the elephant, right? So I am gajaha. So what does it mean? I am ajaha. This is a goat. I am gajaha. This is an elephant. Simple. So now we have the next one. So now we've done two masculine. The little story about the masculine things are finished, right? The masculine goat and the elephant, right? Okay. So now we have a picture of a girl and we have a picture of a garland, maybe a flower garland, right? Like that. So the word next to the girl is bala. Bala means girl. It's feminine. It's long A ending. Mala is garland. It's feminine. It's also a long A ending. So these are two feminine words, right? Iyam. And underneath we have iyam bala. Iyam bala. So iyam, if we look down, right? Iyam. Excuse me. Iyam is also the same as ayam, but it's feminine. It's a feminine word for this, right? So let's go up here. So we have iyam bala means this is a girl. Again, the word is, or the verb to be, is inherent here. So this is a very simple Sanskrit sentence. Iyam bala. Iyam bala means this is a girl. So then over here we have iyam mala. Iyam mala. So mala is a garland. So who knows what iyam mala means then? If iyam bala means this is a girl, right? What does iyam mala mean? Anybody?
Say that again, Swami.
So iyam bala means this is a girl. Iyam mala means
this is a garland.
Correct. Okay. Next. Now we're going to talk about neuter words, right? So we have patram. Patram means a pot, right? And netra means an eye. So idam is the neuter word for this, right? If we look down in the glossary, it says ayam masculine, iam feminine, idam neuter. This, right? This again in these two sentences here, idam patram, idam netram, right? The verb to be or is understood, is inherent. So idam, so this is a pot. So we have a pot here, and we have an eye here, patram and netram. So if I say idam patram, what does that mean?
This is a pot.
Yeah, and then idam netram.
This is an eye. No.
Correct. 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 Wait. So let's recap. Let's recap. You tell me. I'm going to chant the Sanskrit, and you tell me the English translation. I am ajaha.
This is a goat.
I am gajaha.
This is an elephant.
Idam bala. Iyam bala.
This is a girl.
Iyam mala.
This is a garland.
Idam patram.
This is a pot.
Idam netram.
This is an eye. But
what I
want to ask you
now you learned how to translate Sanskrit.
But what I wanted to ask you is, where's the A in this? Is it not what? How come it's not this pot instead of
Okay.
this?
That's
is
a good
pot?
question. That's a good question. That's a good question. In Sanskrit, there are no definite and indefinite articles. In English, we call a. If I say a book, that's the indefinite article. If I say the book, that's the definite article. If I say this is the book, this is the book, right? If I say that is a book, right? Or that is the book, or that is a book. There's a difference between a and the in English. In Sanskrit, there's no such difference. If you want to, you can say, if you want to say a number, this is one book, you can say in Sanskrit, but you can't say this is a book or the book. So again, this is inherent in the verb, in the noun. In every noun is inherent the or a, is inherent in Sanskrit. So for instance, the goat, ajaha means goat, but we can translate it as a goat, or we can translate it as the goat. It doesn't matter. So you don't have to worry about that. It doesn't matter. So when I say I am ajaha means this is a goat, it can also mean this is the goat.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. There's no difference between the indefinite and definite articles in Sanskrit. Okay. So now we have done the lesson. So is everybody, should we go? I'm going to go through it again. I am ajaha, this is a goat, or this is the goat. I am gajaha, this is an elephant, or this is the elephant, right? Iyam bala, this is a girl, or this is the girl, right? Iyam mala, this is a garland, or this is the garland. Idam patram, this is a pot, or this is the pot. Idam netram, this is an eye, or this is the eye, right? Okay, so that is our story for today. Now, here comes the quiz. There's a pop quiz at the end of each story, right? So in Sanskrit, just like in the beginning of some books in English, we see the letter. Sometimes we see people when they make lists, they put different points, A, B, C, D, E, F, G points, right? In English. In Sanskrit, you start with the consonants. If you want to make points, you say ka. The first point is ka. Second point is ka. Third point is ga. Fourth point is ga. Like that. So okay. So it says here ka. Ka is the first point, right? It's just the way they do it in Sanskrit. Okay. So that he could have put one, but instead he wrote ka, right? So now it says here prashnaha. Prashnaha is plural and it means questions. So here's the first question. The first question is, you have to answer this question now. You've just read this story. You've just translated this story from Sanskrit to English. Now you have to answer these questions. I am kaha. I am kaha. Now, I am, we know, means this. What kind of this is I am? What kind of this is I am? Look here. What kind of this is I am?
Masculine.
Exactly. Right. So it's masculine this. So what's he asking about? He's saying, there's a question mark here, which is not a Sanskrit thing, but he's put it anyway for us to understand it's a question. This thing here is kaha. Kaha. If we look at kaha, what does it mean? What does kaha mean? Kaha means masculine of what? Right?
Okay.
So we have masculine of this and masculine of what? Right? So what does the question translate at? The question translates as, what is this masculine? What is this masculine? And what is the answer from the text, from the story? If I say to you as I am ajaha, and
you mean what else again is also masculine there?
What else is masculine? We learned
two
masculine. No. I'm not scrolling down at all. There's nothing down there that's masculine. There are two masculine words here. There are two pictures. There are two masculine words. So if I say I am kaha, I want to know, what is this masculine? You tell me the answers. There are two answers because there are two pictures. There are two things.
Okay, I am ajahan. I am gajaha.
Correct. That's the answer. So the question the teacher asks is, I am kaha? I am kaha? And the answer that you give, now we're doing conversational Sanskrit. I'm a teacher, I say, I am kaha. And you say, I am ajaha, I am gajaha. And in English, that would be, what is this? And the answer would be, this is a goat, this is an elephant. Okay, so now let's have the same question in feminine. Iyam ka. Iyam is feminine for this. Ka, long A, is what? It's the same as kaha, but it's feminine kaha, right? So iyam ka, iyam ka. So what is the answer to that? If I say iyam ka, what's the answer from the story?
Iyam bala and iyam mala.
Correct. Okay. So now we have the third one in neuter. Idam is neuter for this. Kim is neuter for what? What is this neuter? So if I say idam kim, what's the answer?
Idam patram, idam netram.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Okay, very good. Okay, so now the second thing here is, it says ka, ka, ka. The second thing, idam, it says idam or this, which is the name of the pronoun, right? That we've learned here, and the different forms of it. Ayam, iyam, and idam. We've learned those different forms, right? Sabdasya, of the word this, right? Linga triyepi. Api means certainly, or this, right? Triye means three. Linga, form. It has three forms. The word this, idam, has three forms. Pratama vibhakti. Pratama vibhakti means the nominative case. The nominative case is the ending that we put on a noun or a pronoun to name it, to give it a title, to make it the subject of an active sentence. We put it in what's called the pratama vibhakti. Vibhakti is the ending that we put on the noun when it comes as a subject of a sentence. So in a sentence, right, the boy kicked the ball. The boy is the subject. He's the one who's doing the kicking. The ball is being kicked by the boy, right? So in an active sentence, the boy kicks the ball. The boy is the subject, and therefore the word boy, right, is put into the nominative case, or what's called here pratama vibhakti. I'm just explaining the grammatical term to you. Right, so now it says rupani. Here are the rupani, the different forms. Here are the different forms of this word idam. Now, it says here, it has a little table here. We need to learn this table. So it has pumlinge, strilinge, napumsakalinge. That means in masculine, in feminine, in neuter, down the side here. And across the top, it says ekavachanam, dvivachanam, and bahuvachanam. So ekavachanam means singular. Dvivachanam, so ek means one, dvi means two, bahu means many. So ekvachanam, dvivachanam, bahuvachanam, right? Pumlinge, strilinge, napumsakalinge. So we have nine forms of the verb of the pronoun this here in this table. So we have, so here's how we would say it. Ayam, imau, ime. Iyam, ime, imaha. Idam, ime, imani. These are the forms of the word this. This may sound very, very complex. Don't worry about it. It's not that complex. Okay, so these are just, they're giving you these to learn these so that you now know. So now we have the next section here. Ga, idam sabdasya, of the word. Idam sabdasya means of the word idam, rupahi, the forms, vakyani, right, which are spoken, puriyata. Please put in the words, the forms of the verb, the forms of the pronoun, idam, where there's a blanks here. So we have some questions here. We have 6 questions, right, using different words than we're but we're in the glossary, but we're not in the story. So if I want to say, first one is ashwaha, right? Ashwaha means a horse, right? Ashwaha means a horse. Ashwaha is a masculine, from the glossary, is a masculine noun. So there's a blank in front of ashwaha. If I want to say this is the horse, if I just say a horse or the horse, it's ashwaha. If I want to say this is a horse, how do I say it? What is the form? Ashwa. Exactly, I am ashwaha, because I am is the masculine, form of this. So it goes with the masculine noun, Ashvaha. So I am Ashvaha. So second one is Vishvam. Vishvam means universe. How do I say this is the universe? This is the universe, or this is a universe.
I'm just looking to see Vishwam if it's masculine or
Vishvam, here.
Vishwam. Okay, Napumsaka. So therefore, it will be Idam Vishwam.
Exactly, Idam Vishvam. Right. Number 3, we have Jihwa. It ends in a long A. That's a hint. It ends in a long A. Jihwa means tongue. It's feminine.
So it'll be Iyam. Iyam Jihwa.
Iyam Jihwa. Right. So then we have number 4, we have Nasa. Nasa is also ending in a long A. So what does that mean? It's feminine.
So it'll be Iyam Nasa.
And what does Iyam Nasa mean?
This is a nose.
Right. And then we have, this is a, no, it doesn't mean this nose. It means this is a nose, or this is the nose. The verb, the verb is to be is understood. Okay, so then we have mukam. Mukam is actually, is it given here? It's not given, it's a mistake, and they haven't given us mukam. Mukam means a face or a mouth. Right?
Yeah, so it will be ayam mukam. I think mukam is masculine.
No. What's mukam?
Oh, napumsaka. So it will be idam mukam.
Idam mukam. Yeah. So then naraha is what?
Naraha is a man. Is masculine. So it will be ayam.
Ayam naraha. Okay, so let me run through this. We have. I'll run through it. It's ayam ashvaha, idam vishvam, iyam jihwa, iyam nasa, idam mukam, ayam naraha. Right? That's the answers to these questions. Very good. You got everyone except for one right. Very good. Okay. So the next set of questions is here. Kaka ga ga. Right? So aksharam likita. Write the following letters together, right? So if you put a ka with a long A, what is it? If you put a ta with a long A, what is it? If you put a ka with an I and an an M, how do you write Kim? Right? So we already know how to do that because we know Devanagari. So that's it. That's the first lesson. That's the end of the first lesson. Okay? So now
one question. Mala.
Only one question.
Well, I'm sure I'll have to memorize. This is my problem. But anyway, we say Imani Malyani, right? And then you have Iyam Mala. Mala is feminine.
Okay, so wait a minute. We don't say Imani Malyani. No way.
Well then that's incorrect because I got that from Pancharatra Pradeep. So then that's wrong.
Well, it depends. Okay. Is Malyam? Okay, there's Mala and there's Malyam. Maybe right. Malyam is a neuter word for garland. But we learned how do you say plural if I'm going to offer more than one? Are you offering more than one garland?
Yeah, if you're offering more than one garland, I'm just thinking about it.
Okay, so if we're offering one garland, right? If we're offering one garland, we say Iyam Mala, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If we're offering 2 garlands, we say look down here, Iyam Mala. If we offer 2 garlands, we say Ime Male. And if we offer more than 2 garlands, we say Imaha Malaha.
Okay.
So we have to understand how to decline we haven't learned yet how to decline in dual and plural nouns. We've learned Iyam, we've learned Idam in singular, in Ekvachanam, Dvivachanam, and Bahuvachanam. But we haven't learned the word for Mala or Gaja or Vishwam in singular, dual, and plural. But what we'll learn is we can learn, when we learn the nouns and how to put the endings on it, we'll learn them by using the names of God. So we'll learn Ramaha, Ramal, Ramaha for masculine nouns. We'll learn Radha, Radhe, Radhaha for feminine nouns. And we'll learn Vishwam is the name of the Lord in Vishnu Sahasranam. So we can use Vishwam, Vishve, Vishvani. We'll learn that. Okay?
So to make the things that get me really confused, because I haven't done grammar except in primary school. I haven't done grammar since then. Yeah. Nominative is same as the subject, right? We could just say Nominative
Okay.
is the same as the subject.
You
of the
you can say that the word nominative comes from the Latin nomen, which means name. In English, we say nomenclature. Nomenclature means name. It's a fancy word for name. Okay, so the nominative is the naming case. We're just naming it, but yes, it's used for the subject. I don't know that it's used for anything else in Sanskrit. But for instance, I'll give you an example. I said it's used for the subject it's used for the subject in an active construction sentence. So an active again, I'll give you the example. The boy kicked the ball is an active sentence, active construction verb, right? So the boy kicks the ball. Kicks is kicking, or kicks the present tense. Is kicking is the action verb, the action word, the verb, and the object, or the accusative's case, will be given to the ball. The ball is kicked, right? So if I want to say this in active, I say the boy kicks the ball. If I want to say it in a passive way, there's another way of saying it in English, and in Sanskrit too. So I can say the boy kicks the ball, or I can say the ball is kicked by the boy. The ball is kicked by the boy. In that case, the ball is in the nominative.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. The ball is kicked. Is kicked is a passive verb. To kick, the boy kicks, that's active. Is kicked, the kicking happens back to the subject, right? So the ball is the ball is kicked. The ball is kicked. So that's why I said there's parasmaipada and atmanepada, because atmanepada is where the action happens to yourself and the action happens to others, right? So in the case of the boy kicking the ball, the action's happening to the ball. In the case of the ball being kicked, it's the ball that's having it on itself, right? Okay. So the ball is kicked by the boy. The boy actually doesn't go in nominative. It changes from active to passive. From nominative, it changes to instrumental. By the boy is instrumental, is the third case. So nominative, vocative, instrumental. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, but that is a different construction. Okay. So
yeah, those are the things that get me. Yeah. But
yeah, so that's why as we go through, I'll explain. I will explain the English terms of grammar and the Sanskrit terms of grammar. They're not always exactly the same. I'm
gonna need to probably print this book. I'm gonna have to, in order for me to.
Okay. Now, because this is the first class, I also want to introduce you to the other text. The other text is Introduction to Sanskrit by Aganis. So let's have a look at that. Can everybody see that? That's enough of infant reader today. Introduction to Sanskrit. I'll give you this one as well. Thomas Aganis. Okay, part 1. There's part 2 also, if you really get that far, right? Okay, so this is the table of contents, right? So we're going down here. He starts off very, very easy, and we'll just have a look at this. We'll just go to the first part here. Whoa. Okay, we're getting through all the dedications and things. This is lesson 1. So lesson 1 is vowels in Roman script. So we're not even getting into Devanagari here. 6 vowels in Devanagari. He starts to teach Devanagari, right? How a verb is formed, singular endings for verbs, right? And now the 2 verbs he's giving are gum and prach. And when you see this sign here, this sign here is a square root sign used in mathematics. So in grammar, people put this sign sometimes in a grammar book. It means the root. So a root is the basic form of a verb. And the stem is a basic form of a noun. So if I say, what's the stem of Radha Yoho? Radha Yoho got an ending on it. It's the word Radha. If you take it down to the stem, it's Radha. Radha, Radhe, Radha, Radam, Radha Yoho is an ending, right? So Radha by itself is the stem of that noun. If I say gachati, it means he goes. But gach by itself, the root of that is gum. If you look it up in the dictionary, if you look these words up in the dictionary, when you look up nouns, you'll see the stem, and when you look up verbs, you'll see the root. So here's the root, right? So the roots are gum and prach. They're introduced. And also, what's introduced in the first lesson is the word for and. Who knows the word for and in Sanskrit?
Don't know.
Cha, cha,
Sure. Okay.
cha. Cha means and, right? Now, anybody who's done Latin, they're familiar with the word for and in Latin is que. So in Latin, there's a very famous saying, senatus populusque Romanus, right? So SPQR, and the Romans used to carry a flag, and they just had 4 letters on it, SPQR, and it meant senatus, the Senate, populusque Romanus. The que means and. So the Senate and the people of Rome, senatus populusque Romanus. Okay, I did Latin for about 13 years, so I know that. So okay, you don't need to know that, but it's the same. The same construction is used with the cha in Sanskrit. If I want to say Rama and Lakshmana, I will say Rama, Lakshmana, cha.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. You put it
Krishna,
at the end.
You put it at the end. You can also say Rama cha, Lakshmana cha. You can also use it twice.
Okay.
And when you translate Rama Lakshmana cha, it'll be Ram and Lakshmana. If you translate Rama cha, Lakshmana cha, it's also Ram and Lakshmana. It's the same.
So how about puja cha, homa cha?
Puja cha, homa cha. Correct. It means puja and homa. But you can just say puja,
homa cha.
Puja homa cha. It's the same thing. Exactly.
Good.
So
practical.
Yeah, you use something. So now in Sanskrit, each letter represents one and only one varna. Varna means a sound, right? The word varna typically means a color. It means a color. We also know varna is one of the classes or castes in the Varnashram system. Okay, so varna is one sound. Varna means sound in grammar. Okay, so in English, you're gonna learn this that Sanskrit words mean different things in different contexts. Right? So if I say Atma, the word Atma, it could mean soul, but it could also mean body. It could also mean mind. It could also mean God. Sometimes in the Upanishads it says Atma, it means God. It doesn't mean, it means, because there's different types of Atma. There's the Jivatma, and then there's the Paramatma, right? They're both Atmas, right? They're both spirit, but one's a little baby, tiny spirit, and one's a big spirit, right? Okay, so Sanskrit words mean different things in different contexts sometimes. Okay, so there's a joke among Sanskritists that every word in the Sanskrit dictionary means what it means and also means something about sex. So it's a joke among Sanskritists because practically speaking, you can use all these a lot of Sanskrit words as euphemisms, which means other words which indicate another thing. Okay. So in English, the letter A may indicate many sounds, but not so in Sanskrit. So in Sanskrit, we know this, that all the letters just have one sound, okay? There are two, the alphabet in Sanskrit is arranged scientifically according to the places in the mouth. And if you want to see another thing on this, I think I've done a video on this already, a lesson about the different places in the mouth. And you can learn, according to Panini, the different sutras which explain in which part of the mouth different sounds are produced and different letters. So the basic two visions of the alphabet, there are swaras, which means swara means sounded, right? Which is vowels. Swara in Vedic Sanskrit again means a different thing. It means intonation, pitch, right? But in regular classical Sanskrit, if I say swara, it means sounds, it means vowels. And if I say vyanjana, it means consonants. So at a certain point, I'm not going to use English terminology. I'm going to say to you, what is Pumlinga Ekvachana of Akaranta Pumlinga Ekvachana, Pratama Vibhakti of Rama, like that. And you should be able to understand that. If you ever want me to say it in English, I can say it in English, but this is the way they teach people to think in Sanskrit. Okay, so then consonants are called vyanjana, which means manifesting. Okay, so now we have vowels are of different types. There are short and long ones. The short ones are called rasva. Rasva means short. Dirgha means long. So we have and we have twice as long. Now we also have, because in Sanskrit we have singular, dual, and plural, we have singular long which is twice as long, right? It's like dual. And then plural is it's called pluta. We're not going to talk about that here, but he's just mentioning singular and plural. We don't need to know about pluta unless we get to Vedic Sanskrit, in which they write numbers and they tell you how long to hold the vowel. Because vowels can be prolated, they can be extended, whereas consonants cannot. Okay, I've been through this before. Short vowels are held for one count. One count means the time it takes to clap your hand or to slap your leg, your thigh, right? Or the blink of an eye, right? So is twice as long, 2 counts, right? The counts in Sanskrit is called matra, right? Notice that he's using the diacritics here, the IAST, International Association of Sanskrit Transliteration diacritics, when he's using Roman script, and we already know that. So long vowels are held for 2 counts, so 2 matras, right? So we have eka matra, 1 count, and dvimatra. So Patanjali says in his commentary, eka matra bhaved hasvo. Eka matra bhaved hasvo. The word bhaved means is in Sanskrit. So very simple Sanskrit is eka matram, 1 count, bhaved hasvo is called hrasva, short. Dvimatro, 2 counts, dirgha uchite is said to be, dirgha uchite means said to be. 2 counts is dvimatra, dirgha uchite is said to be dirgha. Trimatrastu patogyeyo vyanjana adamatrikam is the rest of the verse. It says 3 matras or more, 3 or more is called pluta. So we have rasva, dirgha, pluta. Short, long, and prolated or extended, right? And then we have ardha vyanjana. What does vyanjana mean again? Vyanjana means a consonant. A consonant is ardha matrikam, half. Ardha means half. So it's half a count. A consonant is considered half a count. So, okay, so that's what matra is, okay? So then it says here, simple vowels are called, some vowels are called shuddha, and some are more complex called samyukta. So shuddha means pure. Like we have shuddhi, pancha shuddhi, or we have, when we do punyavachanam, we're doing a type of shuddhi, purification, right? Buddha shuddhi, for instance, means purifying the elements in the body. So the word shuddha means pure. So, and some are called complex, samyukta. Samyukta means what? Again, some means bringing things together. Kirtan by myself, some kirtan with other people. Bringing together other people and doing kirtan is some kirtan. Some is a prefix, which we use sometimes. Some kirtan, some nyasa. There's many words that this is a prefix which is added to words to change them to mean something slightly different, bringing together lots of things, right? So some means that. Some yoga, bringing together many things, is the prefix some. So samyukta means bringing things together. Yuktam comes from yoga. So bringing together things. So complex, there are pure vowels and the complex vowel. What are the pure vowels, right? So here are the pure simple vowels, short and long. I, u, ri, and ri. Yeah, some people say long ri also, right? These are the simple ones. These are shuddha swaras. Shuddha swaras. They're vowels, swaras, and they're shuddha. They're pure. They're pure vowels, right? U. They don't go together. Now there are long vowels, right? There are short and long versions of simple vowels, and the complex samyukta vowels, right? There are also short and long. They are a, I, o, ow. In English, instead of saying samyukta swaras or complex vowels, we say diphthongs. The word thong means sound. The word thong means sound. So when we say diphthong, it means 2 sounds. In English, like in Sanskrit, dwi means 2, or do in Hindi, right? So in Sanskrit, in English, we say diphthong, 2 sounds coming together. So when an A and an I, when A and I are put together, it becomes A and I. When those two sounds are put together, when A and U come together, they become O and ow. Okay, more about that later. Okay, so then it says in Vedic Sanskrit, but rarely in classical Sanskrit, there's also vowels which are held for 3 counts, which I just talked about, which are called pluta or extended, which are marked in Devanagari script and Roman script by the short vowel being followed by the numeral 3. So if I put a short vowel and I put the numeral 3 after it, it means it's pluta. It's long. It's Hraswa Dirgha Pluta. The short, long, which is twice as long as short, and 3 or more times is shown by putting the number 3. For example, A3 means A times 3. Get it? Right. So you may also see it marked with a long vowel. So some people might mark it like this. They might put long A with a 3. It means the same thing. It means the same thing. If it's got a 3, that's telling you how many matras or counts or beats to hold the vowel. Panini 1-2-27, which is reference to a sutra by Panini. Panini wrote 8 chapters, 4,000 approximate sutras to explain all Sanskrit grammar. So he's just giving the quotation here, 1-2-27. Compares the 3 counts by calling them to the calling of a rooster. The calling of a rooster. In Sanskrit, there's an onomatopoeic word. What does onomatopoeic mean? Onomatopoeic means the word itself sounds like the action, the thing that happens. So for instance, we have these silly words in Sanskrit like pow, bang, slap, pow. If I hit somebody, pow, bang, like that. These are words that are indicating of the sound that has occurred when I'm fighting somebody. Okay, so for instance, when the cock crows in the morning, when the sun comes up and the rooster makes a sound, we say it's the crowing of the cock, right? But in Sanskrit, they use an onomatopoeic word. They use a word which imitates what the crow does. Not the crow, the cock does when the sun comes up. And they say, "Kut-kutaratau." Kut-kutaratau is the crowing of the cock in the morning when the sun comes up. Kut-kutaratau, short, long, extended. Kut-kutaratau. So ooh. Okay. So now here's the pronunciation of the vowels. I'm not going to go over the pronunciation. I've done other videos on this. You all know how to pronounce the Sanskrit vowels. Okay, so the diacritic marks you also know about. The vowel by itself or a consonant or a group of consonants followed by a vowel is called a syllable or an akshara. That's a definition. So remember this definition, that what is an akshara? What is a syllable? A syllable is either a vowel by itself or a consonant or conjunct consonant followed by a vowel. If you have a consonant by itself, put it with the previous syllable. If you have a conjunct or any consonant that has a vowel or just a vowel by itself, that is a consonant, a syllable. So if you want to count syllables, right, which we do when we're looking at verses, we're chanting verses and things, we want to count syllables because that gives us an idea of the poetic form, right? So then we see, okay, there's a vowel, that's the first consonant, that's the first syllable, right? Then there's a consonant, another consonant, and a vowel, that's the second syllable. So when we come to a vowel, we say that's another syllable. Okay. All right, so then Sanskrit's written in Devanagari script. The word Devanagari, right, means Nagari, city, of the immortals or devas, right? The devatas, they have a city up in Satyaloka. Brahma has his city, right? So and there are no capital letters. So we know this in Devanagari script. It's not like English that there's capital letters and lowercase letters. It's all one script, like that. And it's considered to be, the other thing is the word Samskrita means refined, right? Refined or complex. It means refined, very, very much worked out, right? And so Devanagari means also refined in this sense. It's the writing of the gods. It's the writing of the gods. So it's considered, first class. Okay, so an ideal way to learn the script is to memorize approximately 1 letter a day. We've already done all this, so we're not going to do that. So that's fine. Okay, so here are the first 4 vowels and 6 vowels, in Devanagari. So we have Now the way that they've given the here, they've shown with numbers how to make the letter when you're writing it, right? And I assume that this is for a right-handed person. So if you're left-handed like me, it might do it a few different ways. Normally, the top line is done last, if at all, and the rest of the thing that hangs off the bottom of the top line is formed in different ways. But here he gives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he gives the direction of the pen stroke. Okay, so like that. So if you want to learn like that, you can. If you already know how to write Devanagari, don't worry about this at all. He's giving the transliteration next to the syllable. We don't usually see this form of the letter, the short A and the long A initial forms. We don't see it usually like this. There's another form which looks more like an English 3 with a stick attached to it. So don't worry if this doesn't look like the A's that you know. So e, u. These are the first Devanagari he teaches. Forget about that because we already know Devanagari. Okay, so now the grammar of this section, it says here, Sanskrit roots are divided up into 10 classes. What are roots again? Roots are the initial forms of verbs. Verbs. He's going to teach you verbs first. Whereas we learned in the other thing, Sanskrit reader, we learned pronouns and nouns. Now we're learning verbs. Okay, so verbs are divided up into 10 classes or ganas. So if I say this verb is a pratama gana, it's from the first class. And the classes are different. In English, we would say conjugations, right? So verbs are in different conjugations. That means when we add endings to verbs, we do it according to knowing which conjugation they're in. Just like we added different verbs, different gendered words to the other words, to the nouns, according to whether they were masculine, feminine, and neuter. So accordingly, we have to know when we use a verb, we have to know which class it comes in, right? When we decline it. It's not that hard, okay? Don't worry about it. So there are 10 classes. So we're going to learn the first class now. We're going to learn a couple of verbs from the first class, which is most of the verbs are in this first class, okay? So don't worry about what I just said. So in order to form the present stem, what is a present stem? From the root, we form a present stem, and then we add endings, and then we get the present tense. What's the present tense? The present tense in English is sometimes called the present continuous tense. So if I say to walk or to go, right? To walk, to go, right? So this we're going to learn a verb to go, gum, right? So I go, right? In English, we can say I go. That's present tense. It also means I am going, right? So there's two ways of saying it in English, right? I go or I am going. I am going is called present continuous. I go is also present. So in Sanskrit, that's just one tense. I go. You can translate it as I go or I'm going. It's fine, no problem. Just like you can say A or V in Sanskrit. No difference. Okay. So we will study four classes with stems that end in A. Okay. The root or the dhatu. The root. Now it was called something else in the infant reader, but here it's called a dhatu. A dhatu is a verbal root, which is going to be turned into a stem, which is going to have endings put on it, and that's going to give us different tenses and different moods, different ways of making verbs. Okay. So for instance, we have this word that we use in puja. I'm going to make it interesting for you. Samarpayami. Samarpayami is a certain tense. It's a certain form of a verb, samar, right? To give, right? I give or I offer to you. So written with the root sign. The dhatu is usually written with the root sign, right? So this is the root sign used in mathematics. It's also used in grammar. So the square root sign, right? So before it forms a stem or anga. So first of all, you have a dhatu. That turns into an anga, which is a stem, and then you have endings put on it. The endings are given by Panini as called tin, right? The reason why they're called tin is because the endings, according to Panini, all endings for all verbs in Sanskrit are like this: tiptasanti mipwasmas, tiptasanti mipwasmas. I forget the other three endings. Okay, but in Panini, he has a simple way of remembering all the endings, which doesn't come to me right now. But anyway, so we have tin. They're called tin. Verb endings in Panini is called tin. He uses these little cryptic words. So then to form a verb, according to Panini, is called tin anta. Anta means end. So verb endings are called tin anta. Verb endings. Okay. So now let's look at the roots here. Okay, so here's a root, gum. Gum means go. It means to go. It's a verb. It's a verbal root. The stem of it is gotcha. So normally when you look up the word to go in a Sanskrit dictionary, you'll see gum. Next to it, you'll see gachati, gum gachati. It will give you this word under here, the third person singular ending present tense of the verb, to explain to you how to conjugate the verb. So when you look it up in the dictionary, you'll see the root, then you'll see the stem, and you'll see the third person. You'll see the root, and then you'll see the stem with the third person singular present tense on it. So when you look up in the Sanskrit dictionary the verb to go, it'll say gum, the root, or the dhatu, gachati, the third person present tense, to explain it to you, and then it'll say to go. Okay, so the root, the stem, the verb. Okay, so here it is. Now here is the different parts of it. Gacha is the stem, and if we add t to it, it means he, she, or it goes. Third person singular. Singular, not they, not we, not you. He, she, or it goes is gachati. If I say samarpati, it means he, she, or it offers. Right? If I say samarpayami, it means I offer. If I want to say I offer, I say me. Samarpayami, not samarpayati, means he offers. Right? If I'm a priest and I'm getting a yajamana, if I'm getting my sponsor to do something, I will say karoti. Right? He does it. Or I'll say samarpayati, he does it. But if I do it, I have to say samarpayami. Okay, so now there are three persons in Sanskrit, just like there are three persons in English. What does it mean, three persons? So the three persons, or purushas, the word purusha means person, like the Purusha Suktam in the Rig Veda. Purusha means person. It can also mean man, but technically it means person, purusha. So there's third person, second person, and first person. In English, we have first, second, and third person. First person, I. Second person, you. Third person, they, or he, right? Okay. So in Sanskrit, the way they do it is they do third person, second person, and first person. Instead of doing first, second, third, they do it the other way around, third, second, and first, right? They call this is going to be a little confusing. The third person in English is called pratama in Sanskrit, the first person in Sanskrit. The second one, because of the way they list them, the second one is the same. It's called the middle one in Sanskrit, madhyama. And the first person is called uttama, the greatest. I'm the greatest, right? So they think I'm the greatest. So they say first person in English, right? I. So here are the English pronouns that we use for third person, second person, and first person singular. We can use dual and plural pronouns also, but here's the singular. Third person singular is he, she, or it. Second person singular is you, right? It technically, we could say it's thou in Old English, right? It's you singular. When we say you here, we don't mean you dual or you plural. We use you singular. We don't mean you both or you all, right? So you singular. And first person is I, right? So these are called, once again, this is pratama purusha, third person. Madhyama purusha, second person in English. An uttama purusha, right? You know, like we have the kanistha adhikari and the madhyama adhikari and the uttama adhikari. So we have also here the madhyama purusha and the uttama purusha. The only thing that's a little different is you have this pratama purusha. So we could say the kanistha adhikari, right, which means different levels of devotee, right? So the first level of devotee is first level would be the pratama adhikari. The middle one would be the madhyama adhikari, and the uttama is the highest adhikari, right? The uttama adhikari. So we've got madhyama adhikaris and uttama adhikaris. We're familiar with that. Just remember that. And then we have the pratama adhikari. Well, we call it kanistha. What does kanistha mean? It means little, right? Amongst fingers, we have one finger, which is the little finger. In Sanskrit, it's called the kanishta anguli, right? It's the little finger. Okay. So it's not inferior finger. Okay. It's little. That's all. So the kanistha is not inferior. Okay. So the stem stays the same. The stem stays the same, but the endings change for each person. This form is called the present indicative. Forget about present indicative. It's just present tense. Just remember present tense. Because it is in the present tense, and it indicates the singular or ekavachana. Remember, ekavachana means singular, right? So here we have the conjugation of the first verb that we're learning in Sanskrit, which is gum. The stem is gacha, and the endings are ti, si, and ami. So third person, gacha plus ti is gachati. He, she, or it goes, right? Second person, gachasi, gacha plus si, you singular go, or thou goest, right? Right? First person, gachami. Gachami means I go, right? Right? So gachami, gacha plus ami, right? Now, do we understand this? Like samarpayami. Samarpayami, I offer. Gachami, I go, right? Karisyami, I perform. I do a certain thing. Okay, so that's
So will it be samarpayasi? You offer.
Samarpayasi, you singular offer. Right?
Okay, and then
Or
he or
if,
she
or,
offers.
or if I say he, she, or it offered, samarpayati. Samarpayati,
Right.
samarpayasi, samarpayami. Again. Right? So we're gonna learn how to conjugate verbs. Like we have the verb to be is boo. Boo or but. Boo is the root, bav is the stem. So we get bhavati, bhavataha, bhavanti, bhavasi, bhavata, bhavata, bhavami, bhavawaha, bhavamaha. So then we have bhavati, he is. The verb to boo means is, to be, right? To be or is, the verb is, right? So bhavati means he is, or she is, or it is, right? Bhavasi means you singular are, you are. Right, and bhavami means I am. That's all a singular, right? Okay, so now vocabulary, right? So now vocabulary in Sanskrit we have this is a vocabulary for this lesson. This is a very quick lesson. We're almost finished it, right? So here the vocabulary is given. First of all, the root is given for a vowel for a verb, and then the third person singular present tense is given. So this is the way you'll see him give a vocabulary. Gum with the root sign, right? And gachati, which is the stem plus the ending, third person plural, third person singular ending. He goes or she goes or it goes, right? And then the second word that we're going to learn is cha. Cha means and, placed after the last word in a series or after each word, but never first in a sentence or clause. So the word cha, here's how to use the word and in Sanskrit. You can list a whole bunch of things and then just put a cha at the end and it means and. Okay? Or you can put a cha after each word. But you can never, ever, what he's saying is never put a cha at the beginning of a sentence or a clause. Don't start your clause or sentence with cha. But you can put it second after a noun. You can put it after every single noun, or you can put it after a whole lot of nouns at the end. Okay? So that's how you use cha. And you don't have to add endings to it. It's indeclinable. It's what's called an avyaya. So it's a really good word to know. So cha. Okay? Then the third word we're going to learn is prach. Prach means to ask questions. Right? So we go to the guru, the teacher, and we ask questions. Pariprashnena sevaya. Right? Here's prach. Right? Prach. Prach means to ask. So prichati is the third person singular. He asks, she asks, it asks, right? Some words do not have any endings. They're called indeclinables or avyayas. We already said that, including, as indeclinables are, prepositions, adverbs, participles, conjunctions like cha and interjections. Okay, you don't have to know what all those words mean. As we come across those different things, I will explain those terms to you if you don't understand the English grammatical terms. Prepositions, adverbs, participles, conjunctions, and interjections, whatever. They're indeclinable. A few nouns like swasti, there are a few nouns like swasti. What does swasti mean? It means auspicious, right? So they can also be treated like indeclinables and not have to have any endings, which is very good. Any word that doesn't have to have an ending, I'm very happy because I don't have to learn all the endings. Okay, so Here's our sample sentences for today. Gachami. Gachami means I go or I am going. Right? We learned that when we add ami to something, right? Like samarpayami, right? So then we have prichati, gachami, cha means he asks and I go, right? So prichati means he asks. Prichati, he asks. Gachami, I go. Cha, and. He asks and I go, right? Prichati, cha, gachami, cha. Same words, but we just added another cha. What does it mean? It means exactly the same thing. So you can put cha at the end, or you can put cha after each word, right? He asks and I go. Right, now we have another thing here. Gachasi, cha, prichasi, cha. You singular go and you ask. Or, so you can translate it as you go and you ask, or you could translate it as you go and ask. Okay, easy. So now we have the exercises. The exercises are memorize vowels in Roman script and then learn how to write Devanagari. You know, memorize the different endings to verbs, right, in the singular, present indicative, right? Memorize the vocabulary, which is very easy because there was only 3 words, right? So translate the following sentences and pronounce each sentence several times aloud, both before and after translating. Compare the correct answers in 242. So we actually have the correct answers. So we'll go over the correct answers next time. But today we're going to do these things here. So the first sentence is prichasi, cha, gachati, cha. Who can, now, once again, let's look at the vocabulary. The vocabulary for this lesson is 3 words. Gachati, he goes, right? Gach, to go. And prichati, to ask. And the word cha. That's it. That's completely it. Very simple, 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 right? Okay, so now, what does prichasi cha, gachati cha mean? What does that mean? Anybody can tell me?
You ask.
You singular ask, right?
And I think I go. No, we go.
No, we're not doing plural. We're only doing singular, remember? So it's third person singular. Third person singular is he, she, or it goes. So I, you, he. I, you, he, she, or it. I, you, he, she, or it. First, second person, first, second person, first person, second person, third person. This is second person, you ask. This is third person, he asks or she asks. So the translation would be you ask and he asks. You ask, singular, and he asks or she asks or it asks, right?
No, but
so you ask.
But gachati means is the verb from gum.
Okay, let's look again up here. See here? Gachati. Mm-hmm. He, she, or it goes.
Yeah,
gachasi.
So then...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say
so
he asks? No.
He,
No. You ask and he goes. You ask and he goes. Excuse me, my mistake. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay. So this is a different verb than this one. I was somehow or other I was mistaken in what I said. Prichasi, you ask, and gachati, he goes. Right. So B is gachami, prichami cha. So gachami means Malini. Anybody? Does anybody want to hesitate? What what does gachami mean? Gach means to go. Gach means to go. What does gachami mean? I go. Okay. What does prichami mean? Prich means ask. So what does prichami mean?
And I ask. I go and
I ask. Yes, and cha means and. Gachami, prichami, cha. I go and ask. I go and I ask. Right. Number C is prichati. Prichati means he asks, right? He, she, or it asks, right? Third person. Gachati, same thing. Prichati, gachati. Goes.
And he goes. He or she goes.
Yeah. He asks, and we can just say he or she, whatever you want to say. Okay, so he asks and he goes. Or he asks and goes. Right? D is gachasi, prichami.
You go and I ask.
You go and I ask. E. Prichati, prichami, cha. Two asking.
So yeah. So
Prichati, prichami, cha.
he or she asks and I ask.
I ask, prichami, yeah. He asks and I ask. Okay. So gachasi, cha, gachati, cha.
You go and he or she goes.
Right. Prichami and gachasi, cha.
I ask and you go.
I ask and you go. And the last one, prichati, cha, gachami, cha.
He or she asks and I go.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Now translate from English to Sanskrit.
Oh, great.
Yeah, this is harder. Okay, so I go is what? What is the verb? Gachami. Gachami cha.
Gachami cha. Prichami.
Prichami cha.
Gachami cha. Prichami cha. Or gachami cha. Prichami. Yeah, you must end with cha, right? So yeah,
it can be.
Gachami prichami cha.
Correct. You can say gachami prichami cha, or you can say gachami cha prichami cha. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And the next one is you singular ask and he goes. You singular ask.
Prichasi.
Prichasi.
Cha.
Cha.
And gachati.
Gachati cha. Exactly. Okay. He asks and you go.
So that would be prichati cha. And gachasi cha.
Correct. Okay. He goes and asks.
He goes is gachati cha, and he asks will be also prichati cha. Gachati cha, prichati cha. Prichati cha.
Right. And you ask?
Prichami.
Not for you.
Prichasi.
Right. And now I ask and you go.
Prichami cha gachasi cha.
Correct. Okay. And G, I go and you go.
I go and you go is gachami cha gachasi cha.
Correct. Okay. And H, he goes and you go.
Prichati. No, sorry.
Go.
Gachati.
Gachati, yeah.
Cha, and gachasi cha.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Fantastic. That's first lesson. That's it. First lesson. So what now you guys told me you didn't know Sanskrit, but you're answering all these things correctly and you're understanding all the stories and everything. And so how come you're learning Sanskrit? Because you seem to already know Sanskrit. This is very good. So any questions at all about everything that we discussed? So that's the first infant reader story and the first lesson of Aganis. And that's very, very simple Sanskrit. You're already talking in Sanskrit. You know the concepts. You know the words, right? You're understanding the grammatical concepts. And you're able to not only translate from Sanskrit to English, but English to Sanskrit as well. Oh my God, you know Sanskrit. You know baby Sanskrit. This is in one lesson, you know baby Sanskrit. You can now, if you increase your vocabulary, you can then say a lot of things. You can have conversations with people just using the lesson that we did. Just using this lesson, you are able to say things, to understand things, to translate things into Sanskrit and back into English, and you already know how to write that. So you should be able to now read simple Sanskrit texts that have these concepts in them. That's it. Very good. Do we think
to memorize it now?
Yeah, no, it'll come. Don't worry about memorizing it. It'll come. No problem. And you just keep doing this bit by bit, once a week like this, a little bit of grammar like that. I send you the PDFs, you download them, you have a look at them, you read through it one time like that. You maybe keep a journal and write out in Devanagari and in transliteration the answers to the questions, right? Which we can check next time. And there you go. If you just do that on a regular basis, maybe once a week like that, within a year or so like that, you'll be reading slokas, you'll be understanding your puja mantras, you'll be understanding all sorts of things. You just have to build vocabulary. He's giving you the concepts. Both these books are giving you concepts. All you need to is increase your vocabulary, and you know a lot already. We already have so much vocabulary too. We know yoga, we know karma, we know guru, we know many, many Sanskrit words, and now we can add a few little endings to them, and we can use them in sentences. Fabulous.
How many pages is the second book?
What again is the second book that we just did? The first book and the second book?
And the first one's 4. Because I'm gonna have to send it to get it printed, and
the first
the only way I'm gonna learn is to print it.
The first book is 300 and the first book is 300 and 386 pages. That's the first book. But yeah, you have to understand the smaller the book, the harder is it going to be to learn. The longer the book, the more time he takes, the more lessons he takes to teach you the things step by step. When you're climbing a ladder or a staircase, if you climb it step by step, it's easy. If you're a fanatic fitness nut and you want to jump up steps 3 at a time, if you're not very fit, you're going to fall over and stumble and never get up again, right? So when you're climbing a staircase, if you can go up by little stairs, you can reach a huge height by going step by step. But if you try to take 3 steps at a time, unless you're really, really intelligent and fit, you won't be able to do it. So that's why these texts are very good, because they take you step by step in a very logical way and get you to the end. Whereas some of these other ones, they're so difficult. I have been in different university courses on Sanskrit like that, and the class number 1, there's 25 people, 50 people who think, oh, this is an easy course, we'll take Sanskrit as an elective and we'll get a few credits for our degree, right? This is going to be easy, right? After there'll be 50 people in the first class. Second class, there'll be 25 people, because after the first class, they realize, I can't do this. Because they teach it in such a hard way, such a difficult way. And then by the end of the semester, there's 2 or 3 people left. That's it. Because of the way they teach it in universities. This way, to learn this way, anybody can learn. There's another group in India called Samskrita Bharata. There's another group in India. They teach just conversational Sanskrit, and they can teach you in a few months to speak Sanskrit like that if you want to just speak it. But our goal is to understand things in puja and understand things in scriptures, and that takes a little bit more than just conversation.
So patram is napumsaka lingam, isn't it?
Patram.
No, not patram. Patram, as in leaf.
Patram is also napumsakalinga. It's also neuter.
Yeah, because it's idam patram.
Idam patram. Yeah, idam patram. Now see, all these mantras from Achana Padati from how to do puja,
Yeah.
Imani Pushpani. Imani Pushpani. These are flowers. Imani Pushpani.
Yeah, so Pushpa is Napumsaka Lingam. And Pushpani is okay. Okay. So
Pushpani is just plural. We haven't done plural yet, but we will learn how to decline. We will learn how to decline fully, how to fully decline masculine, feminine, and neuter words, right? For instance, Rama or Krishna, right? When I learned Krishna, but you can learn Rama also. Many people learn Rama. Krishnaha, Krishna, Krishnaha, Krishnam, Krishnal, Krishnam. Krishnena, Krishnabhyam, Krishnahi, Krishnaya, Krishnabhyam, Krishnebhyaha, Krishna, Krishnabhyam, Krishnebhyaha. Krishnasna Krishnayoho Krishnanam Krishne Krishnayoho Krishneshu. Hey Krishna, hey Krishna, hey Krishna. This is how you decline Krishna. Akaranta Pumlinga Krishna Shabda. The masculine A ending noun of Krishna. If we want to learn an A ending feminine noun like Radha, Radha, Rade, Radaha, Radam, Rade, Radaha, Radaya, Radabim, Radabihi, like that. It goes on, right? Like that. That is Akaranta, ending in long A, Akaranta, Strilinga, feminine word, Radha Shabda. Okay? If we have a neuter word, like you said, Tulsi Patram. Patram is a leaf. So Tulsi Patram. So Patram Patre Patrani, Patram Patre Patrani, Patrena Patrabim Patrahi, Patraya Patrabim Patrebyaha, Patrasya Patrebyaha, Patrasya Patrayoho, Patranam, Patre Patrayoho, Patreshu, He Patra, He Patra, He Patraha. That's how you would fully decline the word Patra, right? We don't usually learn Patra. We usually learn something like Vanam, a forest, like Vanam Vane Vanani, Vanam Vane Vanani, like that. You just learn the endings and add it to any noun that's neuter, like that. So that is Akaranta, A ending. It's actually Am ending, but A ending. They say Akaranta, Napumsakalinga, Patra Shabda. That's the neuter noun for the leaf and how it's declined, like that. It sounds complicated. It's not complicated. Many of those endings you never see because you don't use to, like for instance, Kadalipala. Kadalipala means banana. We're going to offer bananas to Ganesh. We're doing Ganesha Puja. We're going to offer bananas to Ganesh, right? How many bananas do we have to offer to Ganesh? Are we going to offer one banana to Ganesh? How would we offer one banana to Ganesh? We would say, Idam Kadalipalam. Kadalipalam. This is one fruit. This is one banana.
And then, Kadalipale.
Yes, Ime Kadalipale. Imani means two bananas. Here's two bananas. If we wanted to offer three or more bananas, we would say Imani Kadalipalani.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is what we call really practical for what I'm going to need it for.
Yes, you have to make it. See, now this is the difference when you go and see a priest. You call a priest to do a puja in your house. If he says idam kadali palam and he puts three bananas down in front of Ganesh, what's he doing? He's putting three bananas down and he's saying you can only have one. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that what he means? That Ganesh can only have one banana? No, he wants to give all three bananas. Then he has to say Imani Kadali Palani. Ah, that's what he has to say. But he doesn't say that. And he puts down two bananas and he says Palam, or three bananas, and he says Palam. He's wrong. He has to say Paleo Palani for two or three. So that's the difference between an expert professional priest who knows what he's doing and another person who just learned by heart how to offer the thing but doesn't know what he's saying. He doesn't actually know what he's saying, that guy. He's putting three bananas down and saying, take one, but don't take more than one. Because I'm keeping the other bananas for some other god. Okay, so it's ridiculous, you know. So sometimes you see pundits like this. They've learned how to do puja. They've learned this whole thing, but they don't know what they're saying. They don't know, you know. Anybody that knows Sanskrit who listens to them and watches what they're doing, it won't match what they're doing with what they're saying. So we want to perfectly match what we do with what we say, and that's why we learn a little bit of grammar. Little bit. Now we don't have to learn everything. We can just learn a little bit. Yeah. Today we learned. Today we practically learned enough. Today, that's all practically you need.
Yeah. Especially like with sankalpa and stuff. Yeah, that
right.
will also help to understand how to extend the sankalpa to say other things. You know, like that's right. With the cha and stuff. I knew it was. I had an idea it was cha, but I didn't know how to use it. If you have to put it at the beginning, you have to put it at the end. You have to put it in the middle.
Yeah,
but if and we can. You have to put it at the end also.
And we can say tat anga tvena, right? I want to also do this as a limb of this puja. You know, this and this and this and this and this. If I want,
Odasarangam.
if I say I want to please Gaurnitai, and I want to please Radha Krishna, and I want to please Jagannath, I'll say, see, Gaurnitai cha, Radha Krishna cha, Jagannath cha,
Jagan Baladev Subhadra cha.
Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra cha. But there's other ways. There's other ways of doing it also, where we make compounds out of Rama Lakshmana, like we have in Vishnu Sahasranam. We have Rama Lakshmanao.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking. If you say, for instance, Krishna Balarama cha, and if you say in Jagannath Baladev would it be Subhadraya, or
Okay. We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Okay, yeah. Let's forget that for now. We'll talk about it another time. Okay. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.
Yeah. Okay. So any other questions or comments about today's class? It was a really long class. We did 2 hours basically, or an hour and 40 minutes. And I'm going to send you the 2 texts, and you can look over them. Maybe if you don't have to go and print 386 pages of Aganis if you want. Just print a few things at a time, print 20, 30 pages or something like that, enough to keep up with the class if we're going to continue doing it. And that's enough, like that. At a certain point, you may feel like I've learned enough and that's enough. Bye-bye, Swami, I know enough, and that's enough. So fine. That's fine with me too, okay? So I always want to learn more. You always want to learn more, but maybe we want to put our efforts more into some other thing rather than dry grammar. And hopefully with the stories in Infant Reader, it'll be more interesting. I know today's story about the girl and the elephant is not that interesting, but there's going to be some more interesting stories. We're going to get some stories very soon, which are quite interesting actually, about people stealing mangoes and about gurus who are giving benedictions to their disciples, and we'll be able to read all these stories. And not only that, they have morals and meanings and things. So and then we'll even read some shastric statements. Really interesting. So it won't all be as boring as this is girl, this is an elephant.
Okay.
I promise to keep it interesting.
You always do.